things bite.
It pinched me, just like it pinched you, motherfucker.
They're nice.
Yeah, these are nice chairs. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
I can't believe that you're having a beer with me.
Very, very rare special occasions.
Yeah. Let me make sure that this is going.
Oh.
I know. You'll have to tell the story.
So let's
about...
talk about days from hell.
Oh my God, today was so rough. So the thing is here's the thing. Years ago, I got asked or invited to help with the PGA Junior League, like for us to have a team here. And I was all for it. PGA Junior League is a great scenario. It's great. And I started getting emails from the headquarters and then our local guy here that helps run things, and it was so much information that I got overwhelmed and I didn't read it. And then when it would come around time for us to start our team, I was like, well, I think this is where you're supposed to play from. I'm not totally sure. I know we do a 2-person scramble, and you know, it used to be match play, now it's stroke play and whatever. Well, as the years have gone by, I've gotten a little bit better at it, but then I got so overwhelmed 2 years ago, I was like, I'm never doing this again. I don't have time. It's too much work.
I want to know how you could pick the hottest day of the year. Because wasn't last year I was the starter for you?
I think
and it was 105.
I think it's like a special gift that I have of choosing the worst day. And you know, honestly, I chose this day because it's early in the summer.
Right.
The idea was, okay, I know it's going to be hotter than hell in July and definitely in August. I don't want to have it then.
And it's been
amazing.
Spectacular
weather. 75 degrees, maximum 82. Yeah, just magic out here. But, oh well, what are you going to do?
You know, I mean, if you look at the challenges in life, I love the first world problems. I really, really, really do.
Complain about, yeah.
Holy smokes!
Holy smokes! Holy
the shit that's going on, and you know, I mean, today I pretty much worked for free.
Oh.
But it was a job that just it wasn't gonna fix itself.
What did you do today?
So this guy had put in this gate operator, you know, welded 2 really nice gates, and there's a little bit of screw up on his part. But then the gate operator just wasn't functioning correctly. This guy spent about, you know, $8,000 on this thing.
Okay.
So it's my ass if it doesn't do exactly what it's supposed to do. And it wasn't doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And a lot of, talking to the manufacturer and, you know, the sales rep and this and that. And, you know, my problem was very, very minimal, but it took me a long time to figure it out. And then the guy finally ended up wanting to actually move where the control panel was because he refigured his fence. And I'm like, hey, I'll do it for nothing. Because this thing has been such a pain in the ass, even though it's now been working really good for about 4 months. But products, it doesn't matter what it is. When you've been in the trades as long as I have, you used to put something in that worked for 15, 20 years. And then the engine nerds got a hold of all this stuff, and they said, you know what, we can make it so we can give a 3-year warranty and it breaks in 3 years and 6 months.
Hold on, did you actually say engine nerds?
Engine nerds.
Is this a Martinism?
Oh, it's just
one of a million Martinisms. Engine nerds.
A million of them.
Oh man, yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I think that's true, and that's we complain about that with our washer and dryer all the time.
100%. Your mom and dad's still works.
Oh, I know.
And you've gone through 4 of them. And we've gone through, and we've got a dryer on the brink right now.
Yeah.
Jamie's out hanging clothes up because on the line, because it's just, I don't know how many dishwashers. In the gate operator business, same way. And I feel like sometimes it's amazing how you want to take pride in your work, especially when you do something creative, and then all of a sudden now, when it doesn't work, and you got to look at this person, and there's multiple times where I've looked at this person and said, you know what, it's it's just a cheap piece of and they say, don't worry, I've already replaced my dishwasher twice.
Oh my God.
So the society's getting used to it.
Like that's the thing, we're being trained right now to anticipate / expect
to just buy a new
one. The thing is going to break in just several years.
Right.
We don't get a 10-year lifespan on a thing. We don't, 10 years would be a miracle, it feels like.
So,
yeah.
I hope Swedish chewing tobacco is okay on your YouTube channel.
Well, it is now.
My vice.
The one that you have.
My one vice.
Everybody, this is Martin Kiff, my good buddy. We weld things. Well, I cut metal and he welds it, and we play golf and we coach junior high and high school aged people out here at Healdsburg Golf Club, and he has been kind enough to join me. And I toasted him earlier for having a beer with me because Martin had a pretty traumatic brain injury that I want him to tell the story about, because that is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. And so him having a beer is a big deal. But the other thing that happened today that was a big deal is that it was a shocking amount of heat. What did it get up to, 100 today?
It was, I saw 99.
Yeah. And in some places up here it probably felt like 100.
Yeah. But the wind blew.
The wind was blowing. At least it was moving air today. That's good. No. Yeah. So now we have a new vice on our show. What did you call it? What is it? A Swedish
It's a Swedish
pack?
tobacco. I rodeoed for a long time. I got into rodeo first year of college and then left college to rodeo, and then went back to college because I could rodeo and go to college, and anyway, I was a professional rodeo clown for almost 30 years.
Can we go back just a step, and can you tell us why you decided to rodeo in the first place?
So my dad was from Montana, a big cattle ranch, teacher. Met a gal from California, hated the cold, enjoyed the horse part of the ranching and the cattle, but was a teacher and didn't like the cold weather, but we'd go to the Cow Palace every year, the Grand National Rodeo at the Cow Palace, which was, the reason it's called the Cow Palace, here's great trivia, is because it stands for California, Oregon, and Washington.
No.
Yep.
Okay. All these years, I've been thinking it was something else.
Some weird bovine thing. No, but basically back in the 30s and the 40s, the highlight of the year for most cities was the livestock show from all the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
And people would bring their best bulls and pigs and whatever, sheep from all over the western part of the United States and show them at the Cow Palace, and all the ranchers would get together, and that was their big thing, and they had a big rodeo. And there's certain ones that are still active. Denver Livestock Show is huge, and that covers that section. Houston's still got a huge livestock show. There's many more, but the Cow Palace was basically built for California, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. I just went to a concert at that
Right.
place. It is enormous.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
The Beatles, the Stones, the Who. I mean, I've been through, and then as a kid, that was one of my biggest thrills. I just remember watching the Rodeo Clowns.
Yeah, okay.
Just total focus on these guys. And they had an actual bullfight competition for them where they'd play with one of the meaner bulls for, a certain amount of time. And it kind of kicked off this tour that I eventually ended up on, 10 or so years later. But, I had a great history at the Cow Palace. The first time I got to work it was 36 performances. And the last time I got to work it was like down to 3 and hardly anybody there. So, it definitely had its peak in the 60s and 70s, and then it went down and it's more of a, it's a state-run facility right now.
Yeah.
But it's got great history, and all those old buildings. The Houston Astrodome was like this. The Cow Palace is like this. There's certain places where just the members get to go.
Yeah.
And there's a bar at the Cow Palace, and you walk in, and the pictures of the Stones and the Beatles and the Who, and just to be part of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so this is the problem we're going to have is that we need to do like 5 of these, Amanda. We can do one on just the Cow Palace.
That's fine.
Okay.
Maybe today is the Cow Palace.
So but one of my
but back to you
getting
deciding
whacked.
that you would be a rodeo clown.
Yeah.
It started because you were attending rodeos,
and I was small and skinny and tiny and insecure and just out trying to prove to the world that I was a badass.
Oh.
I wanted so bad. If I had any self-esteem, I don't think I ever would have gotten into it.
Interesting.
And then you're kind of get locked in. Then all of a sudden people are saying, hey, you're good.
Yeah.
Hey, you're great. Ooh, you're brave. You know, and meanwhile it's
that made you feel big.
you're you know, look at me, you know, and stud horse with the fuzzy balls. You know,
This guy.
so it kind of it's a pattern, but it's also a really, really unique sport in the sense that it makes sense if you're around it. And there's lots of sports like this. I am no good up high. I do not like heights.
Okay.
But if I lived with a bunch of mountain climbers, I'd see some sanity in it. And rodeo's very much the same way. And I think you could say the same thing about golf.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
I've been telling people for years, we are maniacs out here. We do this thing that is one of the hardest sports that you could ever possibly play. And nobody even hits the ball back to you. You hit it and you go get it.
Right.
Yeah, it's so challenging. If you don't understand how to command the ball, it can be the most infuriating game on the planet.
And then you learn how to command the ball. And it still doesn't go where you want it to go.
Sometimes.
And then you go, oh my God, how do I
thought I had it.
I thought I had it, and I've had it for a day or two.
Yeah.
And I've had it for a week.
Or maybe you've had
And
it
then all of a sudden it just flat
just
disappears.
disappears. How does that even happen?
I mean, what you know, I mean, the yips.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I don't, you know, you're superstition or this or that, but that's the beauty of it, is that you're just never going to be good enough. And every now and then you catch a lucky break and you hit a great shot and you remember those shots. You know, it's something that I joke because I am not, you know, I don't really look like an athlete and I'm really not an athlete. But at the same time, you know, we'll be playing golf and I'll be, you know, 3 or 4 shots better than the rest of the group.
Whipping everybody.
And one of my favorite lines is, hey, there's got to be an athlete in every group, guys. You know, and they look at me and, oh my God.
Like, this is the guy. Okay.
So, no.
So decided to start rodeo. Was there like a pamphlet on the college
they had a rodeo
notes
team.
wall?
I knew
there was
they
a
had
rodeo team.
I knew they had a rodeo team. One of the best rodeo teams in the nation is at Cal Poly. Great tradition. One of the biggest college rodeos in the year is Poly Royal. And there was nobody out there chasing the bulls around and saving these riders. And back in the day, this is 81, 82, they had 20 guys getting on bulls. And I got out there. And then they would start saying, hey, can you come with us to this college rodeo? Or can you come to this college rodeo?
Yeah.
And I, you know, but dinner was, the deal was, you got to buy me dinner.
Oh.
I will save your ass, but you got to buy me dinner.
You got to feed me.
And then once you got to get, you know, the movement of how these animals move and this and that. And the biggest difference between the bull riders and the clowns, the bullfighters, is they run over us. And I can't tell you how many times they've hopped over me.
Oh.
And it doesn't look good, but they stomp the riders.
Oh.
And that's when it's, you know,
Bad.
they're still bucking. And you know, I mean, my end of my rodeo career, I was the guy in the barrel telling jokes, and I loved that aspect. I thrived in that aspect of it too. I really enjoyed the comedy.
Yeah.
And being the showman and this and that.
Yeah.
And I every now and then have to get out of the barrel and help the other guys if there was a big wreck or something like that. But, you know, I never minded doing that. But, you know, I'd be in the barrel and it's the best seat in the house. It's you and you see the bucking chutes and there's a bull and a bull rider and I can't tell you, just about every rodeo I worked, I would go, ooh, like somebody almost got it.
Oh.
And then every now and then somebody would get
Somebody
it.
would get it.
And you'd like, oh boy. And, you know, that's why my kids are golfers.
Smart.
Because when this is a great paradigm, because that generation that I grew up in, all of a sudden started having kids, and then the next thing you know, they're going to junior rodeos, and their kids have horses, and they're throwing a rope, and they're doing all this stuff, and my kids were like, you know, hey Dad, I need a new driver. I just you go.
Yeah, here you go.
It's cheaper than feeding a horse, man.
Yeah.
So.
You just said something about watching the pattern of the bull. Does it ever feel like you can predict a little bit what they're going to do? They seem like very erratic.
Well, the crazy, this is where you get really down deep, is that my focus for 20 something years was this bull does this bull does that, this bull does this, and I would go to this rodeo, and I know what stock contractor bought the bulls, and the bigger rodeos would be 4 or 5 stock contractors. They bring all these good bulls, and you would realize that, okay, this bull's going to come out and spin to the left, and I've got to be in this position, and and then when you're out there playing around with them, you're trying to get them on a lead. We walk like this, but if we have to turn, 2-foot animals, 2-legged could turn fairly sharply, where 4-legged animals get on, there's one hoof in front of the other.
Yeah.
So if I could get you to that side and on that lead and then cut back the other way, now you've got to go doot, 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 doot in order to catch.
Right, to catch up with you.
You basically try to get what's called get to their shoulder. You let this bull run at you, and you throw a fake to get him off his lead, and you cut right back, and then you stop because he's going like this, and you're just walking. And it's actually the coolest place to be once you're in there.
Once you figure it out.
Now, how do you get out of it?
Good luck. Yeah.
Usually the bull will peel off.
Okay.
But it's it's funny, but it comes with bumps and bruises, and like I say, I don't drink because I got whacked in the head in Kansas. And
tell us that story.
Just watching a bull buck and getting too close to him. You try to be. What you try to do is wait for the whistle to blow, and then the riders are riding either right-handed or left-handed, and the bull rope that they're riding with, they lock it in against this. It's hard leather thing, and they wrap their hand around. Well, it releases this way if they open their hand. It doesn't release this way. This way, if you go over the front, it rolls your hand over, and now it's sticky and it's covered in rosin. And that's where you see those guys hang up, and and then
they're being dragged.
You got to jump in there and you pull a bull rope. You try to get that thing to unwrap around their hand, and so what you try to do is you try to anticipate. Here's the whistle. Boom! The whistle blows. Now I'm going to take this bull, and if he's riding left-handed, I'm going to come in on the left side. I'm going to bring the bull this way to the right, and then he's just going to jump off this way.
Oh.
And the bull's going to chase me around this direction.
So let me make sure I understand these mechanics here. I'm the rider.
Okay.
I'm locked in, and I'm holding. I watched some of this. I don't know what the fuck they're doing because I am not a cowboy.
Right. Number one, the bull ropes and everything, they're not tied around their nuts. Okay, I just got to clear that.
That's actually helpful information.
Because 90% of the time, A, who's going to get down there and tie the knot? And B, we hear that all the time.
Well, of course they're bucking because it's tied around their nuts.
Yeah, it's pinching their flank and causing them to hop instead of run.
And they can't. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it's pinching their flank. And same with the horses. And I've seen maybe 5 stallions buck in pro rodeo. They're all gelding and mares. There's no, that's the way it is.
Okay.
So anyway, that's always a misnomer.
Okay.
Not that rodeo's done a great job of cleaning up. And believe me, I talk about animal rights. I always consider myself, I was the biggest animal rights advocate, because when I saw somebody doing something wrong to an animal, I would jump their shit because they're messing with my profession.
100%.
And I would literally say, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Don't school your animal and try to teach him something in the middle of the arena in front of 10,000 people because he didn't behave correctly, your horse or whatever,
Makes you look bad too.
Yeah, makes the whole the sport, and thank God they've done a much better job as far as electric prods and this and that. And I'm sure there's people out there. You're right. We're exploiting the animals, but it's we are.
Okay. You can't say it's like we are. Period. Full stop. There is truth in that. Okay. So what I was going to ask is about the rope that the cowboy is holding on to.
Okay. Pulled very tight.
So, is it the rope is connected to the saddle?
No, it's consider this. It goes down in loops and pulls back on itself, because these animals have extremely loose skin. It's not just a tight thing that you're sitting on. It's something that if it leans this way, that skin goes or So I mean, it's so they pull it tight. You know, it's looped down the bottom, but it comes back around, and there's a hard end to it. So you slide your hand all the way on this side, hard end, hard stop, and then you take this bull rope up, and you're then wrap it around to try to keep it as tight as it can, so it won't. You know, because you'll see that's the problem with. You know, once you start getting loose up there and the bull's doing this,
that's when you
are
in trouble. You're done. You're
gonna slide back toward his back end, okay? When he comes up forward, okay, and now he comes down like this,
throwing you.
No, so now you're on his ass.
That's what I mean.
Well, guess what? Now, if you're on his ass, you're going hard
right
this way.
Down to his
head. Guess where his head's coming now?
Boom.
It's going back up.
Yeah, so those horns are gonna hit you.
It's called, we call it clicking your heels because they're spurs, but you hit the back and then they get one
right in the chin.
And then now as the bullfighter, it's one thing to save a guy that's mobile. It's another one to save a guy that's just is like
he's knocked out.
He's knocked out cold.
And so what you're saying is when they tie that rope around their hand, they're trying to really kind of weld themselves to the bull.
They are. And then they're using their feet, their chest, their arms. I mean, they're fantastic athletes. I mean, they really are.
They really
these
are
guys
incredible.
in the pro rodeo, they're little tiny.
Yeah.
They're the guys that you don't want to wrestle, you don't want to mess with. But I mean, they are. I mean, it's not just to stand there and sit balance thing. There's very few people that were. There's a few that made it all throughout their careers that were just so well balanced, you know, and there was other ones that just constantly were hustling to get back to that spot, you know, moving their feet, moving their chest, you know, pulling it. But I mean, you know,
it's a fight.
It's a fight, and believe it, 8 seconds is a long time.
8 seconds is forever.
It's a long time, especially when you're dangling from the side. Or
how did they decide that 8 seconds was?
I don't know. How did they decide? You know, 60 foot, 6 inches from the pitcher's mound to the home plate, 90 feet to the bases.
In that same vein.
I mean, it's an amazing, you know, I mean, I'm always amazed by sport in general.
Yeah. The
10 feet for a basketball hoop. I mean.
4 inches for a golf cup.
4 1/4.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Is it 4?
I thought it was 4.
It might be 4. Yeah. I think it is 4. No, I think it is 4. Sometimes it's about 2, and sometimes it's very rarely is it 4 1/4.
It feels like it's 1 1/2 sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
When you got hit in the head, did you get bucked in the head? Like you got a foot to the head?
Yeah, I was just watching him buck, and he kind of stopped and kicked, and I was just too close. And just went, he hit me in the side of the head, and I was out. And then the funny thing about it was, the next thing I know, there's a Chevy Lev pickup truck in Salina, Kansas. Because next thing I know, I'm in the Amtrak station in San Luis Obispo. About 10 days later. No idea how I got there.
No memory of 10 days.
Went to the hospital. I think they figured out that I didn't have insurance.
Yep.
Put me on give me an Amtrak ticket. They knew where I lived. I lived in San Luis Obispo at the time, and I'm like looking around thinking,
how did I get here?
Long this the days before cell phones, and I lived about 2 miles away, and had a bag, stunk,
Yeah. Damn.
Made it home, and then I had massive headaches for a long time, and the spins, and the dizzy, and heavily concussed, and half a beer, and I start feeling dizzy. So
yeah.
I'm the cheapest date. I tell myself the cheapest date of all time. 3 beer man, drink one, spill one, give one away.
Yes.
So.
Can you tell us your earliest memory of playing golf?
My grandfather played at Bennett Valley, little course in Santa Rosa. The trees were so short you could hit the ball 2 fairways over and hit the ball right back onto the green. Can't do that anymore.
No, not anymore. Those trees are big now.
Those trees are really, really big. And I would spend 2 weeks with him every summer. And then another local course, Novato. Got dropped off there and played, and then came up here in the late 70s, and same thing. Golf Pro was an interesting character.
Was it Bill Hanger?
It was Gary Williams, I want to say. And there was 4 or 5 of us that played high school golf that we would, set the pins and basically open up the place on the weekends.
Uh-huh.
And then he would stumble out and we would just play. We'd walk 27 holes.
All summer.
And we get a burrito and a Coke at the turn.
Oh, perfect.
And did that every weekend. We did that. That was the weekend deal. And I worked during the week. I always had some job in the trades. My uncle was a carpenter, and so I was, but that was Saturday, Sunday, free golf, and free golf was huge. Dad was a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they didn't have an annual pass or any of these youth programs that they have now, and
So you could play all weekend for free.
Play all weekend for free, and we did.
Thing.
And those guys are, one's a golf pro at Rooster, and there's it was a good group. We won league, got a pennant.
Yeah.
I was like the 4th guy on the team, and.
So if your dad was not a golfer,
Not a golfer.
who introduced you to golf?
Yeah, basically my grandfather.
Oh, okay. The guy at Bennett Valley.
Who swung like this. About 120 down the middle.
Yeah, to pedal down the middle.
Bogey, 85.
Fine. All day long.
Make a putt every now and then. So I played like this. Then I came out from these guys in high school were like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? And then, of course, swing out your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it took me a long time to dial it in. I didn't get good at this game. Still not what I consider good, but I didn't get good until I started coming up here and playing every day with better players.
It's always interesting to me how that happens.
Huge.
I have Pierce on your team. He got paired up with some players that were better than him about 2 weeks ago, and he played the round of his life.
Yeah.
He was like,
kid's going to be great.
He's going to be great. And he's like, Coach Amanda, I played really well, but I think the reason I played really well is because I played with people that were better than me.
Yep.
And so that's what happens. That is how it works. It's like makes you want to level up every time.
Go out there, get your butt kicked.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and then you get to a point where all of a sudden now you're fairly even.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a great group up here of guys that just, on paper, yes, I'm going to lose to some of these guys 8 out of 10 times, but holy smokes, they're going to hear it those other 2.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to get better because of it, and they're going to get better because of it, and I mean, I pair me with the best. I never mind. I watching how these guys hit the ball, look at a shot, study it, and then talk a shitload of smack.
Totally. Would you say when you finally started?
Then I get to be a rodeo.
Well, I was about to say because
that's the reason.
I'm thinking that you're rodeo clown, like you were priming the pump to be a rodeo clown when you started playing with those guys in high school, because I bet when they saw you swing like a 80-year-old grandpa, they were like, "Bro, what is going on with you? Why aren't you hitting?
Right.
Hit the ball already."
And
then the trash talk just began.
Yeah, the trash talk began mainly because you're messing with something bigger than you in the rodeo arena, and then you're in order to make tragedy funny,
tolerable.
you gotta have really thick skin. I tell you, my best accomplishment in sport, man. I swear to God, this happened about 5 years ago. Got a guy that I referee. We can do another session on refereeing.
Hell yeah.
I referee football with these guys, and they get into pickleball. And I always say pickleball's for people that can't golf, but pickleball's great. But that's my line. Well, anyway, they keep inviting me.
Say that to my dad.
You got to come play pickleball. You got to come play pickleball. So anyway, I go up to this fancy guy's house. I mean, we live in an area where there's a lot of haves.
Lots of haves.
There's a lot of there's a lot of barely makers, and there's a lot of people that work for the haves, and
that's us. Barely makers and work for the haves.
Yeah, but anyway, so we're at this place, and I know 3 or 4 of them. And this one guy that I don't know, he's got the ball, and he's got his wristbands and he's the right pickleball outfit, whatever it is. And I'm borrowing a paddle. I'm like, where's the racket? I got a paddle. Anyway, I and the guy goes, we talk a little smack. I hope you can handle it.
And you're like, that's all the invitation I need.
And all I need, that's all I need.
All
and then
you needed.
My buddies are like, ooh.
Oh, God. You're like...
An hour later, Amanda, the guy throws his paddle at me. I had him so flustered.
You rattled the shit out of him.
An hour later,
that is the best.
He finally just grabs his paddle and goes,
Fuck you.
You're brutal. And I'm like, dude,
know,
come
man.
golf with me sometime. This is nothing.
This is nothing.
Best accomplishment.
I honestly,
in sport.
you and I need to play more golf together because I don't think you have never trash talked me, ever.
No, there's certain times where, well, mainly because everywhere we played, I've been absolutely in awe of where we're playing.
Oh, for sure.
Another episode, Bandon.
Yeah, oh my God. We're
gotta
going to jump on the bandwagon too. Okay, so we have rodeoing, we have Cow Palace, we have halves and halves.
Sports officiating,
banding.
metalwork.
Man, this is going to be
So
great.
I am the most interesting man in the world. I'm a person, man.
I know that about you. And you don't even drink a Dos Equis.
I've got that guy's ass kicked. I really, really do. No. Parenting, golf parenting. I'd love to do a segment about that.
Oh, we should.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little story about something that happened today. Today, the kids on my team, we don't have our uniforms yet. So I told the parents, our color that we're wearing tomorrow is teal, if you have it. If you don't, a white shirt is fine. I heard after the round today, this is coming from Tony V, Brooklyn's dad.
Right.
Tony said, there was a kid that showed up today in a white button-down dress shirt. He looked like a banker. Well, he was wearing a white shirt with a collar, so he was halfway there. Well, like I mentioned earlier, it was almost 100 degrees today. By the end of hole 2, he had stripped his entire shirt off his body. He was playing topless.
That's my guy.
Bravo.
That's
I don't
my
know
guy.
which one it was.
Sign him up for the high school team right there.
He's on your high school team. He's on it.
I wonder who it was.
That's what I was told. I don't know. I don't know who it was today.
It must have been one of those. They got the fantastic freshman.
You got the fantastic freshman, that's for sure. Parker and Riggin and Max. And who's the other?
Probably Reagan.
It might have been Riggin. But Riggin, when I saw him today, he was wearing a light blue shirt. So it wasn't him.
Tony said he bought somebody that a shirt when he saw him.
Oh.
After he took the shirt off, yeah. Reagan's great.
Yeah. He's a nice kid. He's a really
great.
nice kid. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I guess you kind of answered it. Like, the thing that keeps you playing golf is the social competitive part of it, the trash talking competitive part of it.
That's the most enjoyable part.
Yeah.
Of when you're playing and you have a good round and you're watching good shots and you're playing some, we play a course it's ours. That's all I can say. It's ours.
Yeah.
You could be a kid and take your shirt off on the second hole if you want to.
If you have to, yeah.
But we're surrounded by, we're 2 hours from Monterey.
Yep.
We're half an hour from Northwood. We're 15 minutes from Mayakama. We're an hour away from the Brambles. We've got access to some of the best golf, in Northern California and I'd say the world. And we're 6 hours and 58 minutes from Bandon Dunes.
The best complex in Northern America.
Yeah. So, and I know it's that far because
you make that
2 or 3 times a year, my Google Maps tells me you're 6 hours and 58 minutes away from Bandon Dunes.
You guys, if you have not been to Bandon, you got to go just to get some of Martin's art. He makes metal art of all of the logos of each golf course that is on the property. I've been lucky enough to get Sheep Ranch. I have the ghost tree now that represents Old Mac. I have the butterfly that represents Trails because it's my favorite course up there. I think I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to figure out a way to get the rest of them, but I'm just putting this out there for the world to know. I want shorties. That's the one I want. That little bear with his flag.
The bear's cool.
That bear is cool.
The bear's cool.
Yeah. What's your favorite course up there?
I tell everybody, because I get asked a lot, I always say it's the one I just played.
That's a great answer.
And,
It's a perfect
it
answer.
checks the back. However,
Yeah.
if I was gonna skip one, and there's no reason to skip one, I'd skip Sheep Ranch.
That's what I was thinking too.
I mean, it's just when the weather's great, it's almost too easy.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like
When the weather's bad, it's diabolically hard.
but it's entertaining.
But it's not. I mean, it's at some point you need to show the clip.
Oh my God.
Of us out there
It
in
was
80-mile-an-hour winds, pouring rain, puddles, Jordan barefoot,
It
slapping
was
the ball around.
insane. It was insane.
Just can't even move your head. I mean, and that's all part of the experience.
And you're pelted in the face. With
Yeah, the rain
all
hurts.
The rain hurts. It actually feels like sand blowing into your face
Yeah.
the whole time.
But at the same time, I played it on a night like this, and sometimes I get a caddy, but this particular time, this other guy I got paired with had a caddy, and the caddy said, "This is the best day he's ever had." He's been there for like 15 years.
Ever.
And it was literally 8 o'clock at night, and there was mist over the greens. Like if you hit the ball on 16, you couldn't see the ball land because the air was that still and there was that much
wow.
moisture that it went in this little like 1 foot fog bank.
Wow, interesting.
Until you got up there and then you
how
saw it.
Weird.
It was
That's
just
so
spooky.
spooky.
But that's
the little par 3.
Yeah.
So that's right on the coast there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so spooky, but cool.
But that's, my Bandit story is the best to me. And that came from Matt, who you talked to, and
Yep.
Matt, the organizer. If you've got a group of friends, I tell my boys this: be the organizer. You're never going to be out of friends, but the one guy that actually takes the time to get on the computer and say, "Hey, let's go here, let's go there." I mean, I am not that guy. I wish I was, but I'm not that guy. But be that guy. But Matt's that guy, and Matt's like, "Hey, anybody want to go to Bannon?" And it was 8 of us. It was my older boy Lucas, who just graduated. It was his graduation gift. Wilson was down at Cal Poly at the time. He drove up. Missed his first week of winter quarter. Just told the teacher he had COVID, which is a great excuse.
That's a great reason to not.
And we all show up there and just have this magical
Yep.
January experience. And on the last day, we were driving back. We went to this course, Old Mac, and teeing off at 8 in the morning. The pro shop's closed. There's nobody staffing the pro shop, but the starter's there. And we get up there, and I tee off, and I'm looking at this dead tree. I know nothing about it, but it's off in the distance. And the closer I get to it, I'm thinking, this is fucking cool. So I break out my phone, and I click, because I can cut stuff out of metal.
Oh, yeah.
Artiste, right? I'm really good at tracing. Okay, if you asked me to draw it, I couldn't do it in a second, but I could take a picture of it. I could make a transparency. I could shine it on the metal. I could cut it out. So the experience is over, and I know nothing about the ghost tree. All I know is it's called the ghost tree.
Yeah.
But we don't go in the pro shop. We don't see all the merchandise.
Right.
We don't know anything.
You don't know a big deal about it.
All I know is that I get back, and Matt, who organized the trip and did such a great job, and it was a life-changing experience for all of us. We had so much fun. I look at my phone, and I trace the ghost tree, and I cut one out, and I see him the next day, and I go, "This is a thank you," and he cries.
I'm crying right now.
And I'm like,
because I know that story. I mean, every time I hear that story, it just rings
but it was like,
because it's just so like I got to go the second year that y'all went,
right.
but I heard about that trip and I heard about you giving him that ghost tree for months,
right?
For months, because that place, it just like it has such a stronghold on our heart for the bond that is made there. And if you have a group of friends that is willing to go to a place and you're away from your family, you're away from your job, like you're giving up time away
you've
from...
got this challenge in front of you.
I mean, it's such a fun challenge.
Yeah.
It's such a fun challenge.
Challenge with great food. But
Yeah.
but on top of that, so then, long story short, after I give it one, like now I want one.
Oh, for sure.
So this time I actually print the photo, trace it onto on a piece of transparency, make one, and this thing's cool. And then Jamie lets me put it in the house.
Oh.
It's just like really cool. And then somebody says, you ought to send some up to Bandon. So I package 4 of them up. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. I just say, hey, this is one for Michael Kaiser, or 2 for the Kaisers, 1 for the director of marketing, 1 for the director of golf. All people I can find on their website.
Yeah.
And I package it and I send it off to Bandon Dunes, and crickets.
For how long?
And about 4 weeks later, I see this message. I'm working, and I get this voicemail, and it's the director of marketing, and he says, hey, my boss, Jeff Simons, would really like to talk to you about doing some work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Okay.
And I'm like, when? And he's like, how about next Monday? Have a phone call. And I'm like, this is Friday. I'm like, I know nothing about any of this, about a market or anything like that. I don't know what it's, because I know he's going to say, how many can you do, and what's the price, and blah, blah, blah. And I know nothing. So I have an artist neighbor, and I call him up. I go, Bob, can you and he looks at it, and he says, how much time you got? He kind of gives me a rough price range, an idea of where to just start. And then I realized that you got to ship these things, because if you order stuff off the website, and especially the artwork, all the prints and my stuff, it's the order comes to you on your computer, and then you make it, box it, ship it, and then you get reimbursed.
Yes.
So you invoice, and which I'm bad at. They're like, when are you going to invoice? But anyway, I always let it get up to $1,000 or a couple $1,000, and I invoice, which drives them poor crazy. But anyway, they like my stuff. But anyway, I this phone call comes. I'm in my shop, and the most comfortable place I could possibly be, and I get on the phone, and it's Jeff Simons, great guy. He goes, I put one on my house. It's the coolest thing in my house. I'm like, oh, that's how you start a conversation.
God.
And he goes, can you do all the logos? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And he goes, can you send us some? I go, you know what? I'm a much better visual guy. I said, let me do this. Let me come up in April. This is January. I said, let me book a trip, my cost. I said, I will look at all your logos. I will come up with a bunch of ideas. And if I could just lay them out on a table and you say, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And that's what we did. And it was fantastic. And we've been together now for 4 years. I just sent 7. I think I've got just about every state in America covered.
What?
I just sent Massachusetts. I mean,
You're shipping Bandon course logos to all the states in the U.S.
Yep, I think
so
I got just
let me make sure I understand this. Okay, so people could go to Bandon, have an experience, see your art there.
They could buy it
there.
They can.
Or they could go on the Bandon website, see your art there, and then order it, and they're ordering directly from you.
Correct. They're clicking, paying Bandon.
Yes.
I then, do my thing, and then, and then ship. And it's 7 to 10 days shipping. Used to be 2 to 3. I still get a couple of those every day. I tell them, please don't do that to me, because I don't have
I don't have a stock.
And then and then about 4 times a year they'll order like 50 pieces for the gift shop, reimburse the gift shop.
Yeah.
So and then when I'm going up there, because the beauty of either being a golf pro or being a vendor for them is you get to play for half the cost. Mm-hmm. So that's part of your pay, and I convinced my wife, I got to take advantage of this. Yeah. It's part of my pay, babe. I need to go up every October. I need to go every spring. I need to go,
I gotta go here.
So I've been there all different types of year. I consider myself an expert. I love walking out as a single and being paired up. I've met just the most fantastic people. I've, give me some really good golfers that hit the ball high.
Yep.
And I am going to kick your
ass.
And I'm going to teach you how to talk smack. And I'm going to joke with the caddies are the best. in another life, I would have been a caddy up there.
I still
Or a
think you
caddy
could do it
anywhere.
in this life. I don't know why
Yeah.
you haven't tried it yet.
I mean, I'm too comfortable in my own environment and with all the other things I do, but I caddy at the Fortinet Open and Napa or the Safeway Open or whatever they just switched to now. I caddied the Pro-Am there. I would have been a great caddy.
Mm-hmm.
But the caddies are the ones that I'll latch onto, and they're the ones that have the good jokes.
Yep.
They're
Great stories.
I mean, I always say Rodeo Clown was one step ahead of a Carny, and maybe one step below a caddy.
Totally.
You know, I mean, it's just life on the and some of my best rounds there have been, if you play 2 loops, the second one's half price. You play a third loop, it's free. I've done that a couple times in my madness.
You played 54 in a day?
I played, I think we quit. I think it got too dark with like 4 holes left.
Yeah.
We walked in. But, you jump in with the caddies because they're playing late rounds and they're getting on for, and you learn more about those courses there. And they are the best,
Yeah. They have a wealth of knowledge.
I have never met one that wasn't just, fantastic. I've actually threatened to kick people's ass because they weren't treating their caddy correctly.
Tell us that story. That's the story I want to hear.
Some dick from New York. This gal had been caddying for like 20 years, and I could tell. Every time he pulled a putt, he like gave her the stank eye.
Come
and
on.
I'm thinking, dude,
you just suck at golf.
you just, she gave you exactly what you needed to do.
She told you exactly what you needed.
And then I also know this it's funny, the tough thing about caddying is, when I caddied for the amateurs at the Safeway, the Pro-Am, you'll have somebody that pulls every putt, so you say, all right, let's hit it over
Let's
here.
start over here.
And sometimes they'll pull it right into the hole, and other times they'll hit it correctly and make you look like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't doing anything other than trying to help this guy, and he finally snapped at her. And finally I said, dude, you're going to have a problem if you don't tip her really, really well.
Yeah.
And, I said, we are going to have a serious problem. And he kind of looked at me like, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm the guy kicking your ass out here.
All over this course, yeah.
But it's fun. It's just, I'm sure they've got a million stories. That'd be a great interview, is all those guys up there.
Oh, that would be fun. Do you know Tim Burke? I think it's Tim Burke. He goes by Sloth Dash on his Instagram handle, but he is one of the caddies at my Mayakama, and he was up there with us 2 years ago. He, I don't know if you've actually met him or played with him, but anyways, he was down in, what's that hidey hole that we go to at the end of each round?
Oh, the bunker bar?
Yeah.
Or the bunker
he was
bar.
down in the bunker bar. He was down in the bunker bar every time we went, and the very first night we were there, he was with 3 other caddies from Mayakama. Anyway, he's like that too. He has lots of stories to tell, but he said we should do this podcast together. So yeah, I'll get a caddy on here.
Oh,
and we'll have some story time.
I'll watch. I'll watch.
Listen, this was super fun. Clearly, we have a checklist of episodes that we're going to have to do over the next year.
We got to do Bandon. We got to do deep dive of Bandon.
Yeah.
Because number one, for anybody watching this that lives, that has to fly in, I always chew people's ass when they try to fly as close to Bandon as possible.
Just drive
If you fly into San Francisco or Santa Rosa, it's the prettiest 7-hour drive you'll ever see in your life.
It's the most gorgeous drive I've ever
is
taken.
Coast,
because
redwoods.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowingly beautiful.
And honestly, now that you can't go south through Big Sur, like you can't do it, so you might as well go north and go to Bandon. It's gorgeous.
It's great road. It's great restaurants. It's great people. It's great rest stops. It's,
the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
So.
Well, thank you for being with me.
Oh, thank you.
This was a pleasure. All right, everybody. This is Greenside Chats, episode, I think, 9, with the famous Martin Kiff, Rodeo Clown, the guy in between the Carny and the Caddie.
The caddy, the guy between the Carny and the caddy.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
All right, y'all. Good night. See you next time.